Hey, so I wanted to talk to you guys about what's kind of a theme, like a really strong theme right now with the current energies that we have. So, again, it's been quiet, right? The Schumann's quiet, the geostorms are quiet. And I really feel like if you start to notice there's these cycles that are happening, when that stuff is going down and there's quiet, it's like the rest of our stuff is coming up to be worked on, right? It's kind of like, there's the storm when the geo storms are happening, the solar flares and the Schumann spiking, and then that passes and it's like the sky clears and the sun comes out, and that's where we do the work. And I like the way they're showing that to me because it's like we're doing the work in the light. And I think that that's also another theme that keeps on coming up that we need to remember and remind ourselves about, that we're doing the work in the light. So one of the things that's happening right now is that we have so many souls on the planet that are cycle breakers. And so a cycle breaker is somebody who has incarnated in this particular lifetime to really do a lot of work, to really, heal some significant traumas and dramas that are generational. So, just as an example, I'm a Métis person. And so if you know anything about Métis people, the entire history around their origin is dark, right? It's not a happy story. It's not a great story. There's tons and tons of trauma and drama and abuse and neglect and tons and tons of addictions. So I come from long lines on both sides of addicts, of alcoholics, right? And so part of the mission of a cycle breaker is that when you come into this lifetime, your soul has this awareness, like this greater awareness of everything. And that's why a lot of us who are cycle breakers are also old souls. And an old soul, you can tell you're an old soul if you were somebody who, even when you were little, if you felt yourself being with the adults more. So you were not playing with the kids, you were more around the adults. Or if you were somebody who was born into a dysfunctional family where you had to step into the role of being the parent because your parents were not able to parent. Also, old souls are often, you feel like you know everybody. Like you will meet somebody for the first time and you'll have this immediately sense of, I feel like I've known you for a long time. And all of that is just because there's, if you've had so many incarnations, you obviously begin to pick up wisdom and experience, right? And they're saying soul depth. There becomes a depth in the energy of your soul. So for those of us who are here as cycle breakers, we often come into dysfunction, right? There's that dysfunction. And I know for me personally, I started drinking probably when I was 13, 14, like, drinking on the weekends with friends, but binge drinking, right? Like drinking way beyond what is considered to just be a drink or two. And, I drank all the way up until I was in my 40s. And, I'm lucky and thankful that I didn't become an alcoholic and I had enough awareness to be able to break the cycle in this time around. But it's very interesting how it kind of happened for me, because when I started to do, when my ascension really kind of kicked up for me, and that was in 2010, like it was just like, you've got a lot of work to do and the stuff you're doing is not helping you do it. So that's kind of like when it kicked in for me. And I can remember, I used to like to have a glass of red wine, and I wasn't a big drinker. I wasn't, having come from an alcoholic mother and seeing it in my relatives. I was very mindful of not being that person. But I enjoy to have, every once in a while to have a glass of red wine or a bottle of red wine. And what started to happen, it was interesting because I started to have really bad experiences when I would drink. So I can remember, just kind of like when the whole thing started to happen for me, I can remember like drinking, not crazy, crazy amounts, but drinking and not remembering things, like having blackouts, parts of it being blacked out. I'd never experienced that in my entire life before, and it started to happen, and it kind of scared me. And then another thing that would happen is I would have a drink or maybe 2 drinks, and it would go 2 ways. I would either really feel drunk, like really, really quick, and then like this, be sober and hungover, like feeling really, really sick. Or I would have 1 or 2 drinks and nothing would happen. I would have no effect. There would be no effect to it whatsoever. And so that started to happen. And then that next step was that even just having a sip of alcohol would give me the head spins. I would instantly go into having like the room spinning, like, oh my God, I need to hang on to something. And that's when I stopped. That's when it was like, okay, universe, God, angels, guides, you obviously do not want me to be drinking alcohol anymore. So I'm going to stop. And I had no other choice because, look at the experiences that I was having. They were not good experiences, right? And so pay attention, because part of the being a cycle breaker is that we have that, we have those things within us, whatever cycle you're breaking, whether it's abuse or addiction or neglect or victim energy, whatever cycle you're breaking, maybe you're breaking multiple in this lifetime. But pay attention, because that stuff, it's stuff that we experience. It's not like as a cycle breaker, I came into this lifetime and look at me, I don't have any problems, and I don't drink, and I don't do drugs, and do you know what I mean? Like we didn't come in with like our angel suits on. We didn't come in with that. So we came in carrying the same frequencies, the same things, the same feelings that caused our ancestors to feel these things and have these experiences. We have those vibrations within us. And here's the really hard part. This is I'm not going to lie to you, this is the hard part. Because we have these frequencies within us, we have these wounds, these traumas, we still have I would love to have a drink when I'm feeling stressed out. I would love to have a drink when I want to celebrate. I would love to be able to do that, and I can't do that. So we have these things that we are healing, right? That we're going through and healing, but it's hard sometimes, right? I know for me, it's tough. It's been, being around other people that are drinking socially. I can't do it. I can't even tolerate anybody who is drinking. I can't tolerate being around alcohol energetically. And so that's, obviously you can imagine that has shifted and changed things in my life. And so it's another thing that when we go through this, that we have to work through, right? It's not something that we need to get upset about, or that we feel like, oh, why is that be taking away from me? Now I can't do anything. No, we have to look at it like, okay, so now this is an avenue for me to heal that. And I'm not just healing it for me because it's big. It feels much, much bigger than that. I'm healing it for generations. I'm healing it for all of my ancestors. And this is part of the lightness that we're doing, right? They're just showing me this as we do this healing, right? It's like all of these souls become lighter, right? All of our ancestors that didn't heal their traumas, that didn't heal their wounds, that didn't heal the drama, we're healing it for them now. We're healing that. And that lightness becomes expansion, right? That's how we're lifting up the planet. That's how we're shifting everything. It's through that lightness, through that coming through the darkness into the lightness together, and not just doing it just for ourselves, but having the understanding that some of us who are cycle breakers, old souls, right? We're doing it for multiple souls at once. So if something you're going through right now is feeling really thick, or if that theme keeps repeating itself for you over and over and over again, have the awareness, have the knowing that this is something for you to look into. This is something that needs your attention. It's something that you are going to need to go through in order to complete your mission, in order to do the stuff that you're meant to be doing. And know this for sure, that you're not alone in doing this, because again, they just show me, if you could see the visual that they give me of all of the cycle breakers holding the light, holding the space, we're doing it together. And so that bond becomes very strong, and the light becomes stronger as we bring it together. Sending you guys huge, huge blessings.